Ava, are you out being a boring business girl yet again today?
I'm sure you meant that to be a funny diss or something, but you're the only one that's laughing right now. Must mean you have nothing going on, like usual.
Oh, well, I'll have you know that I'm actually super busy right now. So busy, in fact, that you should be thankful I'm taking the time to talk with you now.
Even though you aren't working a job? Are you at least busy enough to help Mom with her hospital bills now that she's back in the hospital again? Because right now I'm the only one that's been doing anything to support her through this battle.
I don't have to work for myself or any of you guys. I already get enough from Dad's inheritance as it is, so I'm fine.
You do realize that you took most of that money from Mom, so it's not something to brag about. If I remember correctly, the amount he gave to you in his will disappeared in a matter of days, right? Did you end up spending all of that on different guys or something? And that's why Mom allowed you to have some of her money?
Yeah, I sure did spend it going out with some other men, but what's wrong with that? And either way, it would eventually become my money once she's gone. Oh, and you decided to give up your inheritance to Mom, right? I suppose when you work a lot and have no free time to spend any of your earnings, there's no point in getting an inheritance anyway. So why not let me have more money if you're not going to spend it?
I never said that I gave any of that money given to me away. Please stop trying to overstep your boundaries and make up lies about what I say, okay? And by the way, don't you think you should come to see Mom in the hospital at some point? She's been asking to have us both here as we're her only family, and it's lonely without the two of us.
I don't really care to at the moment, and luckily I have you to be by her side for me. After all, you are way too serious to do anything besides be by Mom's side, you loser. That's probably the reason why Jason cheated on you as well.
What are you on about? Are you telling me that you found out that Jason is cheating on me? Because I told him to keep all of that a secret so we didn't get questioned anymore.
It's not just that I found out about it, but the fact that he's cheating on you for me.
Huh?
You really never knew about that? Thank goodness I finally told you, or you'd be stuck wondering about that forever, and it would make things harder to explain when we decide we want to get married. Guess that's what happens when you're too busy for your own man, though, huh?
Mia, what the hell? You already had a time where you were messing around with other people's husbands, yet you still didn't learn your lesson then when you were found out about? And this time you've gone after my husband? How far are you planning to go with all of this bullcrap?
Well, come on. Jason told me that you were never home to spend time with him, so he was getting fed up with the time he was wasting. And so when I realized all of that, I flirted with him a little, and he sure did take that bait real quick. It must have been months since you two did anything with each other as well, because our first night out, he was on top of me faster than I could have ever imagined.
What?
And now, Jason and I are in the middle of getting ready for a little romantic vacation together. We decided to take a trip out to the Bahamas to stay at a resort and get all comfortable with each other, if you know what I mean.
What the frick?
We plan to be here for 2 weeks, so don't expect to see us for a little while, and don't even try contradicting one of us.
Not only are you going to tell me you're making love to my husband, but now you're saying you guys went on a romantic trip? And where the heck are you getting the money to go on that trip? You don't have that kind of money right now, right?
What are you talking about? I have the money from Dad, but this time Jason told me that the trip was on him.
Wait, Jason's paying?
Oh, we're about to be flying out of the country, so we both won't be able to text you for a little while.
Wait.
And once we have Wi-Fi, I'm still keeping my phone off because I don't want this trip wasted listening to you complain all the time.
But our mom is in the hospital right now. The doctor even told me that right now is looking pretty difficult for her and that she'll need to be here for a while to get all of the treatments she needs.
You do realize that doctors are always blowing that crap out of proportion just so they can get all of the extra money from those needless operations, so I'm not worried. But you still don't understand that, so you'll just have to waste all your money on nothing.
Mia!
See you later!
Jason! What the hell have you been doing with my little sister? Going after my sister like that while you are married to me is frickin' ridiculous.
Crap! I thought I turned off my phone for the time being, but I must have just put it to sleep for a little bit.
Well, thank God for that. So, are you going to explain to me now what the hell is going on with you two? Are you actually cheating on me with my little sister?
Sure am. Turns out that I love Mia now. I've never felt myself so attracted to a woman until now, and man, does it feel amazing.
You're just going to brag about how much you love her right in front of me? Well, we'll get to all of this later. Right now, my sisters and my mom is in the hospital, and that would be your mother-in-law. Do you really think right now is the time to be having an affair with my sister in the Bahamas?
Stop trying to act like I'll start feeling bad about her being in the hospital while I'm trying to have fun here.
Seriously?
All right, I think that's enough of you already for today.
Wait, Jason.
I want to spend these next few weeks focusing on Mia, and even losing a second of that listening to you is such a waste. So go ahead and enjoy your time sitting in the hospital waiting for her to get better. And how about if you enjoy it a little for your sister and I as well? And on a final note, when we get back, we are getting divorced right away.
Ah, is that so? Well, don't act like this will all be over by the time you're both back.
Ava, I'm home. I'm back in the country now, so I've decided to turn my phone back on for you.
Mia?
Oh, I can't believe how awesome those 2 weeks with Jason were in the Bahamas. He sure is such a compassionate and loving man. And so, now that we're back, your time is up and you need to get going on packing your things and leaving this house.
It's all your fault. It is all your fault that Mom passed away.
Huh?
The day that you two turned off your phones was the day things took a turn for the worst with Mom. And to add to that, the funeral for her is already over with. And the burial and everything is also finished.
What? What are you talking about now? And why are you acting like this is all my fault?
You know how 3 months ago Mom had already become pretty ill and was having trouble living on her own, right? Well, before Dad passed away, he had given Mom a ring to wear to remember him by. And so when she was in the hospital, she planned on wearing that ring to have a sense of him still being beside her. However, when she looked inside the ring box for said ring, it was not in there. And just like that, Mom had started to head downhill. But do you know what really broke her heart? It was the note that was left in there saying that the ring was going to waste, so it had to be sold for some good money. And just as I thought, that note was written in your dang handwriting.
Ah.
And so the very next day, after she had lost all hope, she breathed her final breath. Do you understand the despair you created for Mom after taking away the only thing that kept her attached to Dad? I was able to call all around town to see if there were any jewelry stores that had the ring, but by the time I had finally found where it was and had them send it to us, it was too late.
And that is such a crappy story that there's no way Mom dying could be seen as my fault. And no matter what you try and say, that ring was going to be mine eventually. The only thing that happened was the timing of me selling it was a bit too soon.
I don't think so. All of Mom's things that you expected to get from her were never going to go to you.
Huh? I was under the impression that you didn't want to inherit any of her things, and since I'm the only other sister, I'd be allowed to have all her things.
I think I told you that I never made that promise with her things.
Then how the heck do you know that she wasn't giving me anything?
Because I have Mom's will right here with me.
Huh?
It says here that instead of giving you anything in the will, she wanted to keep it all away from you as a way of you paying her back for selling her precious ring.
Huh?
And don't think that this document isn't official because I watched her write it all. And not only that, her lawyer was with us when writing everything down, so it's a legal document saying that everything is to go to me after she passes.
Really? This all has to be a joke, right?
Everything I'm telling you right now is a fact, Mia. And I made sure to have this paperwork all dealt with while you were on vacation with my husband having an affair, so now there is no point in trying to rewrite anything.
What the?
So now, before you try to run away from this, hurry up and get back here. And if you still want to run away, at least run all the way to hell or something, because it is about time you realize all your sins and pay for them.
Please, Ava, what is this all about Jason not being the CEO of his company? Why the hell are you the CEO?
Oh, so you're on about that now, huh? Well, that's why I thought it was so funny that you said that Jason had paid for your guys' trip to the Bahamas.
Hey, why did he lie to me? And why are you the CEO? Wasn't that company the one that Jason's father founded and led? So shouldn't that make Jason the CEO right now?
Right, half a year ago, Jason was the CEO of this company.
Huh? Then why are you now the CEO of that company?
Well, it turns out that Jason wasn't really meant to be a leader of any company, as he just couldn't keep up with the workload. And so I was later told that if I wanted to, I could take his place and lead the company. Of course, the company was a bit concerned by this option at first, but when they realized I was the only one that could keep the company from collapsing, they came to me and asked. Of course, after the change, Jason was allowed to stay in the company as an employee, but his ego was way too big and he quit a few days after. And ever since then, Jason has been relying on me to bring in all the money into our household.
In other words, he's like a freeloader.
Yeah, he doesn't work and lives off me.
Wait, but that's really bad for me then. I was hoping that he'd be willing to pay for me now that I have no money, but that hope is long gone. I just can't believe that he was relying on you.
Yeah, and by the way, I'd really like you to pay me back for that ring you stole, okay? All in one payment if you don't mind.
Wait, I can't do that now.
Well, you sold that ring without even telling anyone, so I'd like my money back just as easily as it was stolen from me.
But I just thought that Jason would have the money to pay Mom or you back someday. That's why I went and sold it thinking everything would be fine. But now that I know he has no money and no job, everything has changed for me.
I'm not going to start feeling bad just because your stupid plan didn't work out for you. Oh, and along with all of this, I've gone ahead and sold Mom's house since she gave it to me.
Huh?
So if you've gone back there thinking you could stay there, then you have until next week to get out, okay?
But Ava!
What's up, my ex-husband?
What do you mean, ex-husband?
I already handed in all the divorce paperwork.
Crap! You handed that all in?
Huh? You thought I wouldn't divorce you after all you've done to me?
Well?
The fact that I didn't even divorce you after learning you were with someone else was rare of me. But after having that affair with my own little sister?
I just thought that you'd let me be because I gave you that position as CEO, and I thought that was more than enough.
Didn't you tell me 6 months ago that if you didn't find a new place to work after you left, it was okay for me to leave you? Well, those 6 months are over, and I still haven't even seen you try to work a job. Instead, just going out with Mia and spending all my money.
Well, but...
I'm not screwing around with you anymore, Jason. That was the promise you made to me half a year ago, so it's time we ended things between us. So I don't even want to hear a single complaint from that hole of yours about me being unfair to you.
But...
Now that I have made myself clear, I'd like you to go ahead and pay off that settlement.
Well, but I have no money.
I thought your dad had shown you a place that was hiring.
I don't want to work for that stupid factory out in the middle of the industrial park. And I've heard that the boss there doesn't like to hire people that get divorced over being unfaithful.
Oh, that lady? Isn't that the lady that tried to talk with you a while back? Well, aren't you so happy that you can try and get her to support you? Just lie about the divorce we had and say it was my fault. And then maybe she'll marry you as your sugar mama.
No way! Please, Ava, I'd like for us to get back together.
No thanks. The agonizing life of having to pay for their sins finally began. It wasn't just karma catching up to them. It was the slow, grinding punishment that seeps into every corner of your life, suffocating you bit by bit until there's nothing left but regret and the bitter taste of your own mistakes. At first, I watched their downfall from a distance, almost in disbelief. These were the people I had once trusted, once loved. The ones who had smiled in my face while stabbing me in the back. I couldn't look away, even if part of me wanted to. It was like watching the final act of a tragedy I had never asked to star in. But now it was no longer my tragedy, it was theirs, and I was content to stand at the edge of the stage, arms folded, watching as the curtains fell. Let's begin with my little sister Mia. If there was ever someone who thought the world existed to serve her, it was Mia. My sister had always been the type who acted first and never thought about the consequences. She loved the thrill of it all, the attention, the chaos, the drama. She wore recklessness like a crown, and for a while it worked. She got what she wanted. She played with people like puppets, bending them to her will, discarding them when she got bored. She believed herself untouchable, unstoppable, invincible. But life has a way of humbling even the most arrogant of souls. And when that moment finally came for Mia, it was brutal. For a long time, she had been living under our mother's roof, running wild, disappearing for days at a time. She thought she was untouchable, hiding behind the walls of the house where we had both grown up, using it as her fortress of lies and manipulation. She surrounded herself with men, luring them each into her little web of deceit. Each one thought they were special, that they were the only one, but the truth was, they were just numbers to her, placeholders to keep her entertained. She had no respect for them or their families, no regard for the lives she was tearing apart in the process. Eventually, though, the truth surfaced. It always does. One by one, the wives and girlfriends of the men Mia had been sleeping with started connecting the dots. The lies unraveled, and the fury that followed was nothing short of an inferno. Lawsuits came pouring in, legal threats, demands for compensation. It was chaos. And Mia, who once strutted around like a queen, suddenly found herself trapped in the rubble of her own kingdom. When the dust finally settled, the financial cost of her recklessness hit her like a freight train. $150,000. That's what she owed. An amount that might as well have been $1 million for someone like her. The fear in her eyes when the final numbers came in, I wish I could say I felt sorry for her, but I didn't. She had earned every cent of that debt. It was the price of playing with other people's hearts and lives like they were toys. And just when she thought it couldn't get worse, reality hit her again. Harder this time. Jason, the man she thought was her ticket out of this mess, told her he was leaving her. But Mia, ever the manipulator, had already made the decision to cut him loose. He had no more value to her. His pockets were empty, his status worthless. He was no longer the golden goose she had tricked him into thinking he was. So they parted ways, both of them bitter and empty-handed, blaming each other for the ruins they stood in. From what little I hear, Mia is still out there somewhere, clawing for scraps, trying to earn enough to pay off what she owes. But I'm not part of her world anymore. I cut her off entirely. I don't answer her calls. I don't respond to her messages. She's on her own, and as much as it stings to say it, that's where she belongs now. She made her bed, and now she has to lie in it, without me there to soften the blow. Now, let's move on to Jason, my ex-husband, the man who stood at the altar and made promises he never intended to keep, the man who looked me in the eyes and told me he loved me while he was betraying me behind my back. When everything fell apart, I made sure he understood that our chapter was closed for good. The house we had once shared, it was under my name, and I made damn sure he would never set foot in it again. But I didn't stop there. I didn't just kick him out. I sent all his belongings to that factory boss's wife, the woman he had been having an affair with. I wanted them to face each other, to have no choice but to confront the mess they had made. I imagined the awkward conversations they'd have as they unpacked the boxes together. It was petty, I'll admit it, but it felt good. It felt like the kind of petty justice that fit perfectly with the crimes they committed. A few days later, I got a payment from her. She paid off every penny Jason owed me. I didn't even have to chase him for it. She wrote the check, probably to make sure I stayed out of their lives. Fine by me. They could have each other. They could rot together in the little fantasy world they built on lies and betrayal. And now Mia and Jason are both stuck in their own personal hells, isolated, bitter, full of resentment. Their lives are exactly what they deserve, empty, lonely, and suffocating. They burned every bridge they ever had, and now they get to live in the ashes. And me? I get to walk away, knowing I'll never have to see their faces again. That is its own kind of freedom. But there was still one last thing I had to do, one last tie to the past that I needed to sever before I could finally move on with my life. The ring. My mother's ring. The one my father gave her when they were young, when they still believed in things like love and loyalty. That ring had meant everything to her. It was a symbol of a bond that no one could break, a reminder of the life they had built together. And after everything that happened, I couldn't stand to see it sitting in a box, gathering dust, becoming nothing more than a reminder of pain and betrayal. So I wrapped it up carefully, placed it in a little velvet box, and drove to the cemetery. It was a cold day, gray skies hanging heavy overhead. The air smelled like rain. I sat by her grave, the weight of everything that had happened pressing down on me. I told her everything, every betrayal, every lie, every heartbreak. I told her how Mia and Jason had finally gotten what they deserved. I told her how justice had been served in the most fitting way possible. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like she was listening, like she was sitting there beside me, nodding, maybe even laughing a little at the absurdity of it all. I dug a small hole next to her headstone and placed the ring inside. I whispered to her that now she could have it back. Now she could feel close to Dad again. Maybe it was silly. Maybe it was pointless, but in that moment, it felt right. It felt like closure. As I stood there, staring at the little patch of dirt where the ring now rested, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't haunted by the ghosts of what could have been. For the first time in what felt like forever, I was free. Free from them, free from the past, free from the weight of carrying their sins on my back. I walked away from the graveyard that day with my head held high. The city lights flickered in the distance, a reminder that life moves on, no matter how broken we feel inside. And as I walked toward my car, I smiled. I had survived the storm. I had weathered every betrayal, every heartbreak, every knife in the back. And now, finally, I could let it all go. I was done being their victim. I was done clinging to the past. I was ready to live again. But even as I walked away from that grave, as the cold wind tugged at my coat and the sky above threatened rain, something inside me trembled. There was relief, yes, a weight lifted, but there was also something else lingering in the quiet, a hollow, aching stillness. I had spent so long consumed by revenge, by bitterness, by the need to make them pay, that now I wasn't sure what to do with myself. For months, maybe years, my life had revolved around anger. It had been the fuel that got me out of bed, that pushed me forward when I wanted to crumble. And now that it was over, I stood there in the emptiness, uncertain. The truth was, letting go was harder than I thought it would be. I sat in my car for a long time, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring at the cemetery gates. I thought about my mother, about how she had spent her entire life devoted to a family that, in the end, betrayed her memory. How she had loved us, protected us, believed the best in us, even when we didn't deserve it. And maybe that was the cruelest part of it all, that she died never knowing how far we had fallen. Or maybe, in some way, she always knew. Maybe she saw it coming and tried to protect me from it. I leaned my head back against the seat, closed my eyes, and breathed. For the first time in a long time, I let the tears come. They slid down my cheeks silently, like apologies whispered to no one. I wasn't crying for Mia or Jason. I wasn't even crying for my mother. I was crying for myself, for the girl I used to be, the one who believed in happy endings, in loyalty, in love that lasted. That girl was gone now. She had been shattered by betrayal, and what remained was someone harder, colder, sharper around the edges.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.